The courtroom was a battlefield, air thick with tension like a storm about to break. Judge Edward Chen sat high on his bench, his eyes sharp as knives, glaring down at Elon Musk. The billionaire stood at the defendant's table, his jaw tight, his usual smirk gone. This wasn't just a legal spat. It was personal, raw, and ready to explode. The case? A dispute over Musk's latest mega-project, a sprawling network of high-speed transport tunnels under California. The state claimed Musk's company, TerraTrek, had bulldozed protected land without permits, endangering wildlife and defying regulations. Musk called it nonsense, accusing the government of stifling progress to line their own pockets. The crowd in the gallery leaned forward, hungry for the clash everyone knew was coming. Chen slammed his gavel, the crack echoing like a gunshot. "Mr. Musk," he barked, his voice cold and biting. "You think you're above the law, don't you? You waltz in here, acting like rules don't apply to your grand schemes." His words dripped with scorn, his face red with barely contained rage. The judge had a reputation for being tough, but this was different. He was out for blood, and Musk was the target. Musk didn't flinch. He stepped forward, his eyes locked on Chen's, defiance burning in them. "With all due respect, Judge," he said, his tone sharp enough to cut glass, "this court's a circus, and you're the ringleader. You're not protecting the law. You're protecting your cronies who want my project dead." The gallery gasped, whispers rippling through the room. Nobody talked to Chen like that. Not in his courtroom. Not ever. Chen's face twisted, his knuckles whitening as he gripped the gavel. "You arrogant fool," he spat, leaning forward. "You think your money buys you a free pass? You've destroyed acres of land, endangered species, and you have the nerve to stand there and insult me?" His voice rose, shaking with fury. "I could lock you up for contempt right now, Musk. Don't tempt me." Musk laughed, a harsh, bitter sound that filled the room. "Go ahead, Judge, throw me in a cell. It won't change the truth. Your so-called laws are a joke, designed to keep men like me from building the future. You're scared of progress, scared of me." He pointed a finger at Chen, his voice low and dangerous. "You want to play dirty? I'll play dirtier." The crowd was on edge, some shaking their heads, others nodding in awe at Musk's boldness. Chen's eyes narrowed, his voice dropping to a venomous hiss. "You're not untouchable, Musk. You're in my court, and I'll bury you under so many fines and sanctions you'll wish you never set foot in California." He leaned back, smirking cruelly. "Now sit down and shut your mouth before I make you." Musk didn't sit. He crossed his arms, staring Chen down like a predator sizing up prey. "You don't scare me, Chen. You're a small man with a big gavel, hiding behind your robe. This isn't about land or laws. It's about you hating that I'm changing the world while you're stuck judging it." The words hit like a slap, and Chen's face went pale with rage. The bailiff stepped forward, ready to intervene, but Chen waved him off. "You want a war, Musk," he growled, his voice trembling with barely controlled anger. "You've got one. This court will tear your empire apart, piece by piece, starting today." He raised his gavel, poised to strike, but paused, his eyes burning into Musk's. "Test me again, and you'll regret it." Musk smirked, unyielding. "Bring it on, Judge. I've faced worse than you and walked away laughing." The room felt like it might combust, every word a spark threatening to ignite the whole place. Chen's gavel hovered, the threat hanging, heavy, but Musk stood tall, ready for whatever came next. The battle lines were drawn, and neither man was backing down. The standoff stretched, the courtroom silent except for the faint hum of tension. Judge Chen's gavel hung in the air, a guillotine waiting to fall, while Elon Musk stood defiant, his smirk a challenge carved in stone. The crowd held its breath, sensing the clash was about to escalate. Chen's eyes blazed with fury, but he lowered the gavel slowly, deliberately, letting it tap the bench with a soft, menacing thud. "You think you're clever, Musk," he said, his voice low and venomous. "But clever doesn't win in my court. Evidence does, and I've got plenty to crush you." Musk tilted his head, his expression mocking. "Evidence? You mean the lies your buddies in the state cooked up to stop my tunnels? Save your breath, Chen. I've seen their playbook. It's pathetic." His words were a blade, slicing through the judge's authority. The gallery murmured, some outraged, others thrilled by Musk's audacity. A woman in the back whispered, "He's got guts," but Chen's glare silenced the room. "You're digging your own grave," Chen snapped, his voice rising. "Your company ignored environmental laws, flattened protected habitats, and you stand here acting like a victim? You're a menace, Musk, a reckless tycoon who thinks he can buy his way out of trouble." He jabbed a finger at the billionaire, his face flushed. "I've dealt with men like you before. You're all the same, strutting around until the law slams you down." Musk stepped closer to the bench, his voice dropping to a dangerous growl. "You've never dealt with anyone like me, Chen. I'm not some suit begging for mercy. I'm the man who's going to drag this state into the future, kicking and screaming if I have to. You're not stopping me. You're just making yourself look like a fool." The crowd gasped, the insult landing like a punch. Chen's jaw clenched so hard it seemed his teeth might crack. "Enough!" Chen roared, slamming his gavel so fiercely the wood splintered. "You will respect this court, or I'll have you in chains before lunch." His voice echoed, raw with rage. "Your tunnels are a disaster, Musk. Endangered species wiped out, water sources polluted, all because you couldn't wait for a permit. You're not a visionary. You're a vandal." Musk laughed, a cold, cutting sound. "Polluted water? Endangered species? You're reading from a script, Judge, and it's a bad one. My team's data shows zero harm. Your evidence is a stack of fakes, pushed by people who hate that I'm winning. You want to talk vandalism? Look at your precious regulations strangling progress." He leaned forward, his eyes blazing. "You're the vandal here, Chen, wrecking the future for a pat on the back." Chen shot to his feet, his robe billowing, his voice a thunderclap. "You insolent fraud. You think you can slander this court and walk away? I'll have your company fined into oblivion, your assets frozen, your name dragged through the mud." He was shouting now, veins bulging in his neck. "You're finished, Musk. I'll make sure of it." Musk didn't blink. "Try it," he said, his voice icy. "Freeze my assets, fine me, do your worst. I'll still be building while you're scribbling your little rulings. You're not a judge. You're a bully with a hammer, and I'm not afraid of you." The room felt electric, every word a spark. The bailiff edged closer, but Musk waved him off, his eyes never leaving Chen's. Chen sat slowly, his breathing heavy, his face a mask of contempt. "You're bold, I'll give you that," he said, his tone chilling. "But boldness won't save you when I bring the full weight of this court down on your head. You want to fight me? Fine. Let's see how you handle the evidence I'm about to unleash." He nodded to the prosecutor, a grim smile curling his lips. "Call your first witness." The prosecutor stood, papers in hand, as a nervous-looking environmental scientist was sworn in. Musk's eyes narrowed, sensing the trap, but his stance remained unyielding. Chen leaned back, his smirk promising pain, while Musk braced for the next blow, ready to strike back harder. The environmental scientist, Dr. Clara Henshaw, fidgeted at the witness stand, her eyes darting between Judge Chen's icy stare and Elon Musk's piercing gaze. The prosecutor, a lean man with a predatory grin, held up a thick report, waving it like a weapon. "Dr. Henshaw," he began, his voice smooth but sharp, "your findings prove TerraTrek's tunnels caused irreversible damage to protected wetlands, correct?" The room leaned in, the weight of the accusation hanging heavy. Chen's smirk widened, his eyes locked on Musk, daring him to squirm. Henshaw cleared her throat, her voice shaky. Yes, my team found disrupted ecosystems, contaminated groundwater, and displaced species. Her words were measured, but her hands trembled, clutching her notes. Musk's face darkened, his fists clenching at his sides. He knew a setup when he saw one, and this reeked of it. Contaminated groundwater? Musk interrupted, his voice booming, cutting through the prosecutor's next question. That's a lie, and you know it. The gallery erupted in murmurs, heads swiveling. Chen's gavel crashed down, the sound like a thunderclap. Silence! He bellowed, his face crimson. You will not disrupt my court, Musk. One more outburst, and I'll have you removed. Musk shot back, undeterred, his voice laced with venom. Remove me? For calling out a fraud? That woman's findings are bought and paid for, just like your judgment, Chen. The crowd gasped, the insult slicing through the room. Henshaw flinched, her face paling, while the prosecutor smirked, sensing blood. Chen stood, his robe flapping, his voice a snarl. You're treading on thin ice, Musk. Accuse my court of corruption again, and I'll lock you up for a year. Lock me up? Musk laughed, harsh and defiant. You'd love that, wouldn't you? Can't win with facts, so you resort to threats. Pathetic. He turned to Henshaw, his eyes boring into her. Tell the truth, doctor. Who paid you to fake that report? Was it Chen's friends in the state? Henshaw's eyes widened, her mouth opening, but no words came. The room was electric, every breath held. Chen slammed both fists on the bench, his voice shaking with rage. You're a disgrace, Musk, slandering a witness, defying this court. I should fine you $1 billion right now. His eyes blazed, his control slipping. You think you're untouchable? I'll crush your company, your reputation, everything you've built. Musk stepped forward, his voice low and menacing. Crush me. You're a paper tiger, Chen. Your court's a sham, your witness is a liar, and everyone here knows it. He gestured to the gallery where some nodded, others whispered in shock. You're not fighting for justice. You're fighting to keep your little kingdom safe from men like me who dare to dream big. Chen's face twisted, his voice a hiss. Dream big? You're a wrecking ball, Musk, destroying everything in your path. This court will stop you, and I'll enjoy every second of it. He turned to the prosecutor, his tone sharp. Continue. Let's bury this man with the truth. The prosecutor grilled Henshaw, pulling out charts of polluted streams and dead wildlife, each word a dagger aimed at Musk. But Musk's team, led by a steely-eyed lawyer named Karen Voss, was ready. Voss stood, her voice calm but cutting. Dr. Henshaw, isn't it true your funding comes from a group tied to state officials who oppose TerraTrek? Henshaw stammered, her confidence crumbling. The gallery buzzed, sensing the tide shifting. Chen's eyes narrowed, his fingers drumming the bench. Objection, he snapped, before the prosecutor could. Irrelevant. Voss smirked, unfazed. It's very relevant, Your Honor, if the witness is biased. Chen's face reddened, but he overruled himself, his voice tight. Proceed, but watch your step, counselor. Musk leaned back, a faint smile playing on his lips as Voss dismantled Henshaw's testimony, exposing gaps and contradictions. Chen's composure cracked, his glares at Musk growing darker. The judge was losing control, and Musk knew it. The battle was far from over, but the billionaire was landing blows, and the courtroom felt like a powder keg ready to blow. The courtroom crackled with tension as Karen Voss tore into Dr. Henshaw's testimony, her questions sharp and relentless. The scientist's confidence had evaporated, her answers stumbling, her eyes flickering to Judge Chen for rescue. Chen sat rigid, his face a storm cloud, his fingers gripping the bench as if to keep himself from lunging at Elon Musk. The billionaire leaned back in his chair, his arms crossed, a glint of triumph in his eyes. The gallery was alive, whispers and gasps punctuating every revelation. Voss held up a document, her voice steady but piercing. Dr. Henshaw, this email shows you were pressured to exaggerate your findings by state officials. Care to explain? Henshaw's face went white, her voice barely a whisper. I was just following orders. The crowd erupted, voices overlapping in shock and outrage. Chen's gavel slammed down, the sound a desperate attempt to reclaim control. Order, he roared, his voice hoarse. This is my courtroom, not a circus. His eyes locked on Musk, burning with hatred. You think this cheap stunt clears you? Your lawyer's tricks won't save you from the law, Musk. Musk stood, his voice booming, unafraid. Tricks? The only trick here is your kangaroo court. Chen, you propped up a lying witness to frame me, and now you're scrambling because the truth's coming out. The gallery buzzed, some clapping, others shouting. Chen's face twisted, his voice a snarl. You're a liar and a cheat, Musk. You've bribed your way through life, and now you're bribing this court's patience. I'll see you ruined. Ruined? Musk shot back, stepping closer to the bench, his eyes blazing. You're the one ruining yourself, Chen. You're so blinded by your grudge, you can't see the facts. My tunnels are clean, my company's legit, and your case is falling apart. He pointed at Henshaw, who shrank in her seat. She's your star witness? A puppet for your corrupt friends? You're a joke, Judge. Chen leapt to his feet, his robe billowing, his voice a thunderous roar. You dare call me a joke? I'll have you in contempt for the rest of your miserable life. He jabbed a finger at Musk, spit flying. You're a menace, a spoiled brat who thinks he owns the world. I'll fine you so hard your grandchildren will feel it. The bailiff rushed forward, but Chen waved him off, his eyes wild. Sit down, Musk, or I'll drag you out myself. Musk didn't budge, his voice low and venomous. Drag me out? You wouldn't last a second, Chen. You're all talk, hiding behind that bench like a coward. You hate me because I'm doing what you never could, building something that matters. The crowd was on its feet, some cheering Musk, others jeering Chen. The room felt like it might explode, every word a match struck in a room full of dynamite. Voss seized the moment, her voice cutting through the chaos. Your Honor, the defense moves to dismiss this case. The prosecution's evidence is tainted, their witness discredited. There's no case here. Chen's head snapped toward her, his eyes narrowing. Dismiss? He hissed. You think you can walk away after this farce? I'll decide what happens here, not you or your smug client. Musk smirked, sensing weakness. Face it, Chen. You're losing. Your case is garbage. Your witness is a fraud, and you're too stubborn to admit it. Drop this now, or I'll make sure the whole country knows what a sham you are. The threat hung in the air, bold and dangerous. Chen's breathing was heavy, his face a mask of fury, but a flicker of doubt crossed his eyes. The gallery held its breath, waiting for his next move. Chen sat slowly, his voice cold but unsteady. This court will recess for 1 hour. I need to review this mess. He glared at Musk, his words dripping with venom. Don't think. You've won, Musk. This isn't over. He stormed off the bench, his robe trailing like a dark cloud. Musk turned to Voss, a grim smile on his face. The battle had tipped in his favor, but Chen wasn't done fighting, and the final showdown loomed. The courtroom buzzed with nervous energy as the hour-long recess ended. Judge Edward Chen swept back to the bench, his face a mask of barely contained rage, his eyes locking onto Elon Musk like a hunter sighting prey. Musk stood tall, his expression defiant, his lawyer Karen Voss at his side, ready for the final clash. The gallery was packed, every seat filled, the air thick with anticipation. Chen's earlier doubt had hardened into resolve, but Musk's confidence radiated. A challenge. To the judge's authority. The crowd sensed the endgame, and no one dared blink. Chen gripped his gavel, his voice sharp and bitter. This court has seen enough of your theatrics, Musk, he said, his words slicing through the silence. "You've insulted me, slandered my witness, and mocked the law. You think you're untouchable, but today I'll prove you wrong." He leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with malice. "I'm denying your motion to dismiss. This case moves forward, and I'll make sure you pay for every inch of land you've destroyed." Musk laughed, a bold, defiant sound that echoed off the walls. "Pay? For what, Chen? Your pride? Your case is dead, your witness exposed, and you're too stubborn to quit. You're not a judge. You're a petty tyrant, and I'm done playing your game." The gallery erupted, cheers and boos colliding. Chen's face turned purple, his voice a roar. "You're done when I say you're done. I'll fine you $100 million for contempt right now." "Go ahead," Musk shouted, stepping forward, his voice fierce. "Fine me $1 billion. Lock me up. Do whatever makes you feel big. It won't change the truth. My tunnels are the future, and you're just a bitter old man trying to stop progress." The crowd roared, some chanting Musk's name, others yelling at him to sit down. The bailiff moved in, but Musk waved him off, his eyes never leaving Chen's. "You've lost, Chen. Everyone here sees it." Chen slammed his gavel so hard it cracked, his voice shaking with fury. "You're a fraud, Musk, a loudmouth who thinks money buys respect. I'll bury you under sanctions, shut down your company, and make sure you never build another tunnel." He was screaming now, his control gone, his hatred laid bare. The gallery was chaos, people standing, shouting, the room a boiling cauldron of emotion. Voss stood, her voice calm but commanding. "Your Honor, your bias is clear. We request your recusal from this case. Your personal vendetta against my client violates every principle of justice." The words hit like a thunderbolt. Chen froze, his eyes widening, the accusation stripping away his armor. The crowd gasped, sensing the shift. Musk smirked, leaning back, his victory close enough to taste. Chen's hands trembled, his voice low and venomous. "Recusal? You think you can intimidate me? I've served this bench for 20 years, and I won't be bullied by a snake like you or your client." But his words lacked strength, his face betraying a flicker of fear. The gallery quieted, all eyes on him. Voss pressed on, relentless. "Your conduct speaks for itself, Judge. Step down, or we'll appeal to a higher court and expose this farce." The room held its breath. Chen's eyes darted to Musk, then to the crowd, his empire of authority crumbling. He sat back, his shoulders slumping, his voice barely audible. "This court will adjourn. I'll consider the motion." But the fire was gone from him. He rose, his movement slow, and left the bench, the weight of defeat in every step. Musk turned to Voss, his voice quiet but triumphant. "We did it." The gallery exploded in cheers, strangers clapping Musk on the back as he walked out, head high. Outside, reporters swarmed, but Musk only smiled, his eyes on the horizon. Chen's threats had crumbled, his case in tatters, and Musk's vision was unstoppable. The future belonged to him, and no judge, no court, could stand in his way.